Hey, Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's the co author of the book She Defies no other than Miss Kimberly Smith Laverdure. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Kimberly. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, thank you so much. I am a operations specialist under my business, The Virtual Life Alchemist, and the Phoenix Blueprint has been founded to help business owners and entrepreneurs heal, find their purpose, and live their legacy.
Miss Kimberly, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And of course, your book. So the title She Defies is incredibly active. What does defy mean in the context of these stories? And what specifically are their women defying?
She Defies is 30 different stories of overcoming past trauma, wounding, situations and challenges in our life to come up on top, thrive, not just survive. So each of the women's stories that are in here, including my own, talks about our past, how we overcame them, how we defied all odds to be the successful women we are today.
What was the catalyst that made you want to seek out and compile these particular stories of overcoming? Was there a personal connection to this theme?
There was a personal connection. I found this publisher who does many of these books and brings women together to share their stories. And I've always wanted to be a writer since the age of 6, especially a published writer. And this company was a beautiful way to come in and co author some books together to get the stories out there while I worked on my solo books.
How did you find the woman feature in the project and what you looking for in a powerful story of overcoming?
I actually found her in a Facebook group for authors and women and connected with them and got on their email list and started to see the wonderful stories and books that they had been putting out. And what really drew me in is that each of these books talk about how we did something, how we overcame something to get onto our path. So this one just talks about our stories. My second book actually talks about our path to entrepreneurship. So you can see that there is a theme to each of the books that they put out for women to inspire others to do what we have done.
Definitely. Let's talk about on the stories and their subjects. Which or while each story is unique, was there a common thread or a shared quality that all these defiant women possess?
Yes, most of us have overcome either sexual abuse or assault or domestic violence in our lives to be able to tell that story and then of course share what we're doing now because of and in despite of it. So that was what really connected me to these women and to this publishing house, because we're allowed to just get in there and tell our story. And it's raw, it's vulnerable, and yet there is a theme and a thread of inspiration in there and how we got to where we are today.
Miss Kimberly, could you share a glimpse of one of the story that particularly surprised you or redefine your own understanding of resilience?
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. I think each of the ones that I read from the other women, including my own, just really touch at the heart of how many women have gone through this, how many women have a story to tell, how many women don't speak up. So for me and the other women in here, we're speaking up to be a voice to all women that have gone through these things.
Definitely. And how these women navigate the moment before the defiance, the moment of fear, uncertainty, or oppression. What was turning point for them?
And for many of us, the turning point is just that quiet voice that won't be quiet anymore. And for most of us, it's nothing spectacular. It's nothing earth shattering. It's just that one subtle, quiet moment that just says, enough is enough. I can't keep doing this. I can't stay in this situation or keep my voice quiet any longer. I don't want to be a victim anymore. I don't even want to just be surviving. I want to be living and thriving and healing and ultimately inspiring others to be able to do the same thing.
Many stories of overcoming involve external obstacles. Were there also powerful stories of overcoming internal barriers like self doubt or imposter syndrome?
So many, absolutely. Not just self doubt, but low self esteem, being beaten down by words or physical abuse or even sexual abuse, having to really look at yourself and say, what is it I'm doing that contributes to these situations? Now, to be very clear, these people that are victims, we this is not something we asked for. This is not something that is our fault, and there's things within ourself that call in those situations that we need to look at and heal, so that you are able to move on from this and learn not to repeat that same thing. My own story is I have repeated that multiple times in relationships, to the point where I have finally gotten to a point of healing where I know I'm worthy and deserving of a healthy relationship, a healthy life, and just continue to keep on that path of healing so that I don't repeat the past.
Many stories of overcoming involve external obstacles. Were there also powerful stories of overcome like deep in their side of procrastinating?
Yes, I could say that that could be true. Procrastination sometimes comes from not feeling safe. And when you don't feel safe, there's things that you do to keep safe and to feel like, for example, my voice, it was not safe to speak up. It was not safe to stand up for myself. It was not safe to fight back. I don't put myself in those situations anymore where it's not safe to speak up. And if somebody portrays that to me, that is my ability to just walk away. So those outside obstacles of somebody's, the oppression that you mentioned in the last question, absolutely leads to that. And most of us in these situations don't feel safe in some form or another. And that shows up in many different ways.
Definitely. Let's talk about the process and impact. What is the most emotionally challenging part of listening and telling these often difficult stories?
You relive it. When you're recounting your life and the things that have happened, you're reliving those moments. And for a long time, I could not write this story. It was even hard to talk about. But there's something very cathartic about finally getting it out onto paper, and even more when you know other people are reading it and the reviews and the feedback that you get from how much it has touched their lives, and that validation that isn't needed but welcome when somebody says, wow, look where you are now and look what you went through, and look how much you've overcome. There's something very powerful about that.
Definitely. Powerful, powerful indeed. How did immersing yourself in these narratives of defiance and resilience change you personally?
It set me on the path to combine both of my businesses, the business side and the spiritual side, so that I can help other people. There's a lot of gifts that I have, and being able to finally put that forth into the world and not be afraid to bring my spiritual side into my business side has made a huge difference in my life to fully feel like I'm living my purpose.
Interesting, Miss Kimberly. And was there a story that was simply too difficult to include or that required a special approach to tell it safely?
I did not include a lot of my current relationship because I'm still in it and still in the process of feeling where I'm going with it. So I didn't include that. It's not something that I wanted to share in that moment, but it is in my solo book. So the book that will be coming out next year does go through my entire life and the obstacles and challenges that I faced, and being really vulnerable and open that we continue to heal and we continue to go through challenges, but it's how we overcome them and how we react to them that makes a difference on whether we stay in victim mode or thriving mode.
Let's talk about on the nature of overcoming and resilience. In these stories, does overcoming always mean a clear-cut victory, or does it sometimes look more like survival, acceptance, or finding a new path?
It does. It's all of the above, and it ebbs and it flows. Sometimes it can be these major steps that are very apparent in leaving a relationship or holding somebody accountable. And then other times, like I even mentioned at the beginning, it's very subtle, it's very quiet. It's nothing that anybody else would notice except internally. I would say every single piece internally is feels huge even on the outside if it seems very small and subtle and quiet. And many times it isn't apparent. Some of the victories are huge and in your face, and some of them are just so small. And some of them truly are just surviving, just being able to say, I made it through this moment safely is a victory in and of itself.
How did all community and support from others play a role in these women's abilities to defy their circumstances? Were there any stories of solitary defiance?
I think all of them are a little bit of solitary defiance. I think that when we're in these moments, we feel very alone. The community of women that put this book together and hold each other up and supported each other through it was absolutely incredible, but it comes after. It's almost like when you finally get to the other side, you've done so much of it yourself that when you're finally telling this story and you're finally talking about it, you start to realize how many other people have actually gone through this. And it does form that beautiful community.
Very well said, Miss Kimberly. Truly, truly empowering answer. How important was the concept of voice, both finding one's own and using it in this journey?
Mm, huge, especially my voice and my oppression of it started really young, and moving into relationships that continued to feel like I couldn't use my voice, even up until my current one that finally felt safe, but yet in certain ways wasn't. I kind of swung on a pendulum. I went from quiet for safety to, and no one's going to quiet this voice. I'm going to scream it out loud, and you're going to hear me. You're going to see me. You're going to understand me. I need you to hear me. To finally realizing that there is a time and place, and that sometimes my silence is even louder, but that's come through a lot of healing and through a lot of introspection and through a lot of self-awareness on those moments that I don't have to fight to be heard. I can just let my silence speak. And I think for many women and men that have gone through this, I don't want to say that men don't go through these same things. It's super important to recognize when we do need to feel safe, or when we already are safe, do we really need to speak out? And I think that speaking out in a book and being inspirational is the way that I do it now.
Miss Kimberly, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
To keep writing and to keep getting this out there. I love it. And my long term goal is to get my solo books out there that also lead into my programs for healing and finding your purpose.
Finding your purpose indeed. And good luck to your goals, Miss Kimberly, and looking forward for more success.
Thank you so much.
And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Take the first step, listen to that voice. It's there, and be safe about it. I understand that sometimes that first step can seem insurmountable, but the first time that you take it, your confidence and your self esteem and your ability to start the continued movement is huge.
Definitely. Very huge. And thank you for that advice, Miss Kimberly. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Eat, Pray, Love is definitely a big one in that it started realizing that you can. When Elizabeth Gilbert wrote that, it just showed me, wow, this is somebody who's just been so raw and open in her everything about her life, the failures, the doubts, the moments of being scared, the moments of feeling like I can't do this. And it really set me on that path to be like, yeah, it's time to tell my story. And although it came out a long time ago, it's been the one that I've held near and dear to me when it comes to being an inspiration and being able to tell your story.
Thank you for that recommended book, Miss Kimberly. And let's talk about the larger message of the book. What do these collective stories tell us about the current state of women's resilience in the face of today's specific changes?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. I feel in today's world, we are so short of a time from having full autonomy. I mean, when you think that just back in the 1980s we were finally able to sign our own lease or have our own mortgages, it's not that far in the past. And in today's political climate, I feel that it's even more necessary for women to band together and to speak up about what has been happening and to make that change. And the louder we are and the more in the public eye we are about things like this, I feel that that is the time when things will finally shift and change for us.
Very well said, Miss Kimberly. If you could distill the entire message of CD5 into one sentence of advice for a young girl, what would it be?
Oh, that makes me tear up. Wow, that in one sentence. If we could do it, you can do it. And listen to us so that you don't repeat the same mistakes.
Truly empowering. Very well said, Miss Kimberly. Truly empowering sentence. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please don't listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my food and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in its fourth season, and law 101 and Mental Health 101 are my baby podcasts. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Miss Kimberly, finally having compiled all these powerful stories, what is your own renewed definition of the word powerful?
Hmm. My new definition of the word powerful: self power. Powerful can mean so many different things, but having our own power and keeping it and not giving it away, that's true power.
Definitely. Miss Kimberly, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support all your books, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, I can be found at the virtuallifealchemist.com. So they will be able to find all of that there.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Kimberly because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Kimberly, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Daniel.
Monticam people, see you soon.